What's going on, guys? Zalen, what kills must die. Now, I'm not normally a big fan of the cosmic heroes, but this one at least kept my interest, and that's more than I can say for most others. So we're off to a good start. Uh, so this is kind of a chungus of a book, so I'm just going to go ahead and try to quickly summarize this the best way I can. So we have Zalen, who's a Superman-like character. You know, he's got um, super strength, fly around, breathe in space, all that kind of stuff. Not saying he's one for one with Superman, but at least kind of gives you an idea as to what we're dealing with here. He's trying to rid the universe of oppressive forces, and we find that the use of his powers does kind of take a toll on his body. And while he is ridding the cosmos of bad guys, he's also searching for any of his kind in the galaxies. And to kind of just make a long story short, he does find his way to his home planet and finds that it's not all what he remembers it being. And to put it mildly, Zalen's not a fan of this. And after making some adjustments to this world, we find him recovering with the rest of his team before starting off on a new mission to find a shapeshifter on a faraway planet. And that's where I'll just leave it for now. Again, a bit of a chungus, and I left out a whole bunch of stuff. So, I'm just trying to give you some of the quick notes here as to what to expect should you decide to read this. Now, I'm not usually a big fan of like the uber superpowered heroes, but I do always appreciate when we have some sort of drawback to the use of powers, whether it's like with Zalen, where he more or less needs to kind of recharge, and he just has to do it. He's exerted too much power and needs to just kind of relax for a moment and like I said, recharge, or some other means. When you have to keep these guys back in check, I do appreciate that because I have a harder time adjusting to these kind of characters. I usually prefer my more grounded heroes. I also really liked the made up dialogue being integrated in with the language that we're accustomed to reading. Among some language that I just couldn't read, and you had to use the pictures to get context as to what they're saying. I appreciate that. That always helps with my immersion, and so that really helped get me in on this story. Now, there wasn't anything that I felt was off as far as dialogue and stuff like that. I will say my issue with this book is much like my issue with most cosmic stories, and that's where we're just dealing with all sorts of names being thrown at you. And I get that the characters are supposed to know that, but sometimes it takes me a couple read-throughs to really grasp what all just happened. It doesn't always click for me with these cosmic ones, and so that's not really on Chuck on this one. That's just the cosmic thing. I just find that most books that go into that area have the same kind of effect on me. But as far as what I was able to put together, nothing stood out to me. All the dialogue felt pretty good. Didn't feel clunky in any way, shape, or form. I didn't really come across the as you know kind of dialogue. So I will say that even though I was enjoying this, this is probably my least favorite of the Chuck Dixon Rippaverse stuff. I would put Horseman and Alpha Core above this one, but I still like this more than like Yaira or even Gooding. So I felt pretty strong, and I do look forward to at least back in a second issue and continuing on. And maybe this is one of those characters that is really going to stick with me on this one. So all positives for me, especially given that I'm not typically into cosmic stuff. Now, if this sounds like something that would interest you, be sure to check the link in the description as to where you might get a copy for yourself, or at least who to follow should a second chance campaign arise. But this is Rippaverse we're dealing with, so it's going to be their website. But that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.